controversies, and trending stories. You know we're credible and objective.
It's Hard Facts with Maryann on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Seven minutes gone past the 5 o'clock hour, welcoming you to the nation's #1 talk news and sports radio station. We're broadcasting live from our audiovisual studios right here in Itimi Crescent, Victoria Island, Lagos. This is Hard Facts. I am Maryann, and I did tease earlier on that we were going to be talking about journalist suppression under the Tinubu administration, and of course previous administrations before now, but of course it seems to be heightened under this administration. For those of you who do not know, this discussion obviously arrives at a critical juncture for Nigeria's democracy, whether we like it or not. If you take out the fourth estate of the realm, then it's obviously a banana republic. But under the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, we've had press freedom come over increasing threat, 141 documented violations of media rights in just 2 years. In fact, often these things are happening at the hands of security operatives, from arbitrary arrests to equipment seizures to the misuse of Cyber Crimes Act. Journalists in Nigeria now have to operate in fear. Joining me tonight to have this conversation, I have a representative, someone who used to work for the Guild of Editors. He's a journalist. He joins us via Zoom. He is Dr. Iyobosa Wujarin. He's a senior editor at This Day newspaper. He's a former General Secretary, Nigerian Guild of Editors. He's an adjunct lecturer at the Faculty of Communication and Media Studies, University of Abuja. He's a current national treasurer of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. Dr. Iyobosa, thank you so much for joining us. I think that we've lost the connection with him, but also joining me is my very good friend. He is the founder of FIJ. I've had him on the show before now. Fisayo Soyombo joins us live via Zoom. Fisayo, it's so good to have you join us. I don't think you and I have seen this year, so Happy New Year, even though we're almost done with 2025.
Thank you, Maryann. Happy New Year. Yeah, thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you. Dr. Iyobosa, thank you also for joining us, if you can hear me.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me.
All right, lovely. Let me start with you, Doctor, and then I'll come to my good friend, Fisayo. Like I said earlier on, that, the Guild of Editors have repeatedly condemned the abuse of Cyber Crimes Act and attacks on journalists. How would you, as someone who's been with the Guild of Editors, describe the overall climate, for Nigerian journalists under this administration?
Yeah, the Nigerian Guild of Editors and the professional body of media executives and editors across the country is very concerned about the press freedom violations and freedom of expression violation in the country, especially in the last 2 years. We don't believe it is something that we should entertain, especially under democracy. The situations has again, ignite a very robust conversations about the state of our press freedom, the state of our free press.
Ooh. I'm so sorry, Doctor. Your connection is very poor. I don't know if you can hear me. Oh dear.
Because whether we like it or not, under democracy.
Go ahead. Yes, we lost you for a second, but go ahead, please.
Yes, I'm saying that under democracy, I'm saying that the right to circulate opinion, ideas, and information through various media channels without government restrictions or interference is very cardinal to the survival of our democracy, especially in Nigeria. It is a fundamental principles of democracy. It is the oxygen of democracy, enabling the media to hold those in power accountable, provide diverse perspective, and facilitate informed public discourse or conversation. Freedom of the press is about freedom to report, freedom to criticize, and access to information. This principles of democracy is very important because it promotes accountability. It provides citizens with accurate information that will enable them to take decisions day after day. And it's also very useful for functioning democracy. So if we don't have freedom of press or freedom of speech, then we can't be talking about democracies. What differentiates democracies and dictatorship is the freedom of the press freedom, and freedom of the speech, the rights of the citizens, to engage government and all that. So once we don't have those principles, then we cannot be talking about democracy.
Lovely. Let me just push you a bit further before I go to Fisayo. The federal government recently had stated that the president has never ordered the suppression of journalists or the press. And when they came out with this plausible deniability, I want to use that phrase. Did it in any way make you feel that maybe this is just systemic, or these incidents are just, not necessarily having anything to do with the Tinubu administration?
Well, the president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. Let's take for the purpose of argument without considering that he has not ordered anybody to arrest journalists or to detain anybody for expressing his opinion or ideas or for circulating information. What was his response when security agencies, particularly the police and non-state actors, are busy arresting people for expressing their view? What has he done? What was his response? Has he been able to call the security agencies to order? Has he been able to call the IG of police to order? The IG of police that is consistently weaponizing the Cybercrime Act in arresting journalists, in detaining innocent people for expressing themselves? What has been his response? I agree for the purpose of argument that he has not ordered anybody to be arrested. But when security agencies, under his command, under his supervision, engage in this media right violation or free press violation, what was President Bola Ahmed Tinubu respond to those illegal, violations of freedom of the press or violation of free speech in our country? What was his response? So the fact that he has not been able to call those security agencies to order, the fact that he has not been able to order security agencies to arrest non-state actors who are weaponizing the Cybercrime Act to order, it means that the president cannot deny that the fact is that he's not aware. He's aware. So if he has not ordered the police or security agents to arrest journalists or arrest innocent people, then he should also have the authority. He has the authority to also call the security agencies to order. Okay. The fact that he has not done that shows that is in agreement with what is happening.
I would have loved to push you further, but let me come to Fisayo. I'll come back to you because that it's not just, we can't put this just at the feet of the president. Yes, he's the commander in chief, but I'll come back to you. Fisayo, let me come to you now. You've described how Nigerian journalists are increasingly treated as cyber criminals, and that deterrence is now built into journalism. Can you help us unpack that? Because I know you personally and some of the things that you've done, but most people do not understand when you say that, that deterrence is now being built into journalism. I was just talking a few minutes ago on my show that there's some things that I would like to say, but if I say it, NBC would fine me 500,000, and my salary is not even up to that. So. But help me unpack that, Fisayo.
Okay, just to be sure, Maryann, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
I want to be sure that you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I'll start by providing you context. Between 1986 and Bola Tinubu's emergence as president in 2023, a total of 1,034 Nigerian journalists. Were detained. However, by May 2024, 1 year into Tinubu's presidency, 28 journalists had been detained by the states. Now, that figure is equal to the annual average of the last 38 years, nearly half of which were under military rule. So I'll say that again. In Tinubu's first year, the number of Nigerian journalists who had been detained was equal to the annual average between 1986 and 2024. And almost half of that period was under military rule, which means that for the most part under military rule, the number of Nigerian journalists who ended up in detention is similar to the number of journalists detained by the Tinubu administration in its first year. So what that tells you is that Tinubu is running a pretend democracy. How is it different from the military regime? The only difference is that, you can talk about, the gravity of the allegations leveled against them, but they ended up in jail, and journalists are ending up in jail. I was doing my work at undercover investigation late last year. The army found me at some point, detained me. If we had not found a way, using, pre-planned technology, if my team had not known my location, I would have been there for much longer. The plan was not to release me, The plan, I was released on the night of the third day of detention. The plan was not to release me. The problem is that the information got to the media. And then there was vitriol, online, and then there was bad press, and then they had to, A reporter with FIJ, Foundation for Investigative Journalists, was abducted.
Daniel
I beg your
Ojuko.
pardon.
Is
It
it
wasn't
Daniel?
an arrest, it was an abduction.
Yeah.
Yes, for 10 days. Look, the irony, the police arrested him. We went to the police to say we were looking for him. We didn't even know he was with the police. The team at the office had launched a manhunt for him, and we launched a missing persons report with the police, not even knowing that they were the ones holding him. They didn't allow him access to his phone. He couldn't talk to his family. They caught him. That's an abduction. What was his crime? Reporting fraud in the office of the senior special advisor to the president on SDGs. Up till now, after he was locked up for 10 days, released, more than a year later, they have not been able to prosecute a case against us in court to show that what we published was libelous. But before they arrested him, we had cases of the Nigeria Police Force, National Cybercrime Center coming after us. They had
Oh dear. We have lost Fisayo. I think he got kicked out of the Zoom meeting. Hopefully we can get him back to join us. I just picking up. Okay, Fisayo is back. Fisayo, yes, you were kicked out.
I'm so sorry.
You were kicked out.
I don't know the last thing you heard.
Yeah, you were saying that up till now, the case that he raised, yes.
Yes, up to now, they haven't been able to prove a case against us in court, because after the 10-day detention, they then approached the court of law, which was what they should have done earlier. They then approached the court of law. Up to now, they haven't been able to push a case against us. Before that, we had episodes with the Nigeria Police Force, National Cybercrime Center. I had that, last year. They invited me, technically declared me wanted. I went in. And then they wanted to detain me. There was outrage in the media, and then they had to release me. Before that, 2 years ago, we had with the Nigeria Police Force, I think one of the IGP units or something. So you can't do independent journalism in this country without ending up in detention, And before there was a time that the spokesman of the police, Muyiwa Adejobi, said it on Channels TV that there were multiple complaints against me and my organization, and they were investigating them. Said multiple. And what were these stories about? Majority of these stories were about people who committed fraud, who duped, investors. Many of them, the Nigerian Police Force was the agency that helps them. In many cases, people who commit fraud, and then The police will tell them to run away. The police will be the one to go and arrest the victims, for cyberbullying. So again, it all points to a system that is in rot, from the police to the government. There is a campaign against journalism. Any published content that goes online, that they find offensive, even if it's the truth, gets labeled as cybercrime. The danger, and I'm going to round off now until you ask me further questions.
Mm-hmm.
The danger is that we are promoting an atmosphere of fear-mongering, especially among the young people. You now have young people who should make it into journalism saying things like the climate is not good to practice journalism in Nigeria. The government keeps going after journalists, and they're not sure they want to end up in journalism. That's the real danger. That fear is there, that you'd rather do journalism outside Nigeria, not in here.
Well, it is a legit fear. I mean, because even those who are, in fact, I had a guest yesterday who pretty much talked down on the media half the time. Not necessarily talked down, but continuously blamed the media for most of the problems that we have in the country, and not focusing, majoring on the minor. That most of the media professionals that we have today are very partisan, and they can see it on TV, they can see it in the headlines. I think this is a question for Dr. Yobosa. The print media has been pointed to as being extremely partisan, and not necessarily leading the narrative that would help us to build a stronger and better Nigeria. In 40 seconds, sir, can you respond to me before I go on a break?
Well, I just wanted to respond to the comparison that my friend made about Tinubu government and the military. But honestly, I don't know where his source of information or figure that is I just reeled out about a few seconds ago. But let me say that I was fully involved during the military regime, where I was a staff of the news magazine in 1993, the news magazine Tempo, PM News, and AM News, and including my colleagues who were in 10 magazines. If you know what happened during the military era, especially under Babangida's and Abacha government, I don't think it's
More news and
comparable to what is
information
happening
coming
now.
up.
I'm sorry, we
Yes.
have to go on a break. When we come back, I'll take your thoughts. We'll be right back, Lagos.
Feeling under the weather? Tired of getting sick? Immunase from Vitabiotics can help. Immunase is a supplement packed with vitamins and minerals like vitamin D, zinc, and selenium that support your immune system. With Immunase, you can boost your natural defenses and fight infections, reduce your occurrence of illnesses, enjoy faster recovery, and better energy levels. Immunase from Vitabiotics, trusted partner to keep you healthy. Available at pharmacies near you.
In the kitchen game, there are players and then Agba Ballers, MVP, Player of the Year, 10-0, no rival. Become an Agba Baller with a new improved Maggi chicken flavor, made with a flavorful formation of onions, celery, turmeric to bring out your top game in the kitchen. Elevate the taste of your everyday dishes with delicious rich chicken flavor. Oh yeah, let's go.
New Maggi chicken flavor, my game changer.
Little body, big moves. Little brain, big learning. Your little child is eager to do big things. Every sachet of Cerelac Junior comes with the nutrition they need: natural grains, protein, and iron to support their physical growth, learning, and development. So you can fully enjoy your little one's big moments of growth.
Start your day and have a good time.
Kivo Creamer.
Where you need to have the break time.
Kivo Creamer.
If not tea, Papa Garita.
Kivo
So I did on my own. Now message enter my phone. Fiam. I can't click am. Fiam. Now so my money for account go. Fiam. Hey. Hey, if to say na Airtel you dey use, them for first alert you before you click am. Airtel they identify spammers, then alert them customers with AI-powered service to make sure say you no fall mugu for wuruwuru scam messages. No charges, no subscription needed. Me sef they go join Airtel. Fiam.
Airtel, a reason to imagine.
If the world was ending, I wanna be next.
It is an incontrovertible fact that the future of power is solar. It is becoming increasingly clear that solar is the way to go if reliable, clean, and uninterrupted power is our goal. Our homes need power, our offices need power, our public buildings need power, our lives and activities need power, and of course, I mean reliable power. Now, at the Solar World Electric Technology Limited, we have cut our teeth as professionals in the business of solar and renewable energy, ranging from inverters, lithium-ion batteries, solar panels, solar water heating systems, solar street lights, etc. You can visit our office at the Seco Mall, 5th Roundabout, Lekki Epe Expressway, Jakonde, Lagos, or our website on www.solarworldelectric.com, or you can call us on 0906 331 5492. Solar World Electric Technology Limited. We are redefining the limits.
No be party jollof this same.
I beg, make nothing hungry you again today.
I am pregnant wife they follow talk so.
Neighbor, I beg.
I beg neighbor, just one spoon.
No wahala.
Chef, what be your secret?
Now, Mr. Chef seasoning powder. Mr. Chef seasoning powder get spicy stew, goat meat, fried rice, and roasted beef from great aroma to great taste.
Elevate every meal with Mr. Chef seasoning powder. Chef.
What you're about to taste is so hot, it's got basket mouth singing.
Mini Ninja Pepe flavor. Yeah. Mini Ninja Pepe flavor. Chris. Heat.
Mini Ninja flavor.
Nothing brings the heat like the bold taste of Mini Me Noodles Niger Pepper flavor. Try it today and see for yourself. Mini Me Noodles Niger Pepper flavor. Slap it like it's hot.
Madam, I beg, bring one cold can of Malta Guinness.
I beg, make them two. Quick, before driver move.
Oh yeah, take one na 600 naira. So now 1,200 for the two.
Yes, so Malta Guinness is now 600 naira. Now you get the same refreshing, nourishing, rich premium Malta Guinness for just 600 naira. Available at stores near you. Malta Guinness, here for every kind of you.
Hey, rewards don't land. When I buy airtime and data on any network,
I get up to 10% cash back.
I pay my NEPA, DSTV, or StarTimes and call
3% cash back.
Now so, smart cash back, don't get reloaded.
And they load my wallet.
Hey, it's the Smart Cash Cashback Reloaded. Top up airtime or data on any network and get up to 10% cashback, or pay your electricity or cable TV bill and get 3% cashback sharply. Only on Smart Cash. No dull yourself. Download the Smart Cash app or dial *939# to start today. Terms and conditions, Deja.
I'm in love. Sonia tomato mix, stand up. Is it to open? Is it to squeeze? Is it to scoop? And is it to stir?
Sonia tomato mix in a new stand-up pouch.
Is that Alfie playing football in the rain?
It's Toby Chio.
My goodness. When did he grow up?
That's it with kids, so.
It's amazing how your child grows up before your eyes. Enable their thriving development with the new NanKid 4 with HMOs to support your child's development, probiotics, and high-quality proteins to support age-appropriate growth. NanKid 4. Nourish your child's potential.
This taste na banger, this taste na creamy rich, this taste na new Nescafe, original 3-in-1. Thickness, enjoyment, yumminess, happiness, delightfulness, deliciousness, smoothness. This taste na new Nescafe, original 3-in-1.
Enjoy more creamy richness with the new Nescafe Original 3-in-1 in the new pack. That's strong. Finish strong.
Welcome back to
your number one talk, news, and sports station. This is Nigeria Info.
This is Hard Facts.
Yes, it is Hard Facts. 99.3 Nigeria Info. We're live on Facebook.com/Nigeria Info FM. We're also live on YouTube, Nigeria Info FM. We're talking about media suppression under the Tinubu administration. My guest, Fisayo Soyombo. Somebody had to pronounce this your name. I used to call you Fisayo Soyombo. So they said it's Soyombo. He is the founder of FIJ. For those of you who do not know what the FIJ is, it is the Foundation for Investigative Journalism. Also joining Fisayo on the conversation this evening is a veteran journalist, obviously, and he is a former spokesperson for the Guild of Editors. He's a immediate past Secretary General of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. He's now a treasurer, and he's also a lecturer at the University of Abuja. Dr. Iyobosa Uwujaren is also joining us live via Zoom. Now, before we went on the break, Dr. Iyobosa, you were trying to fact check Fisayo. Let's take a listen, and then, of course, you still have to answer my question quickly.
No, not necessarily fast checking Fisayo. I know as a colleague, he has gone through a lot in the hand of the security agencies in the cost of discharging his constitutional responsibility as a journalist. There's no doubt about that. I'm not trying to fast check him, but I'm trying to say that he was trying to compare what happened during the military era with what is happening presently in Nigeria, especially under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu government. My take is that under the military, I was deeply involved. In 1993 or thereabout, I was a senior reporter with the news magazines under the leadership of now Bayo Ononuga, Dapo Loriyomi, Babafemi Ojodu, Kule Ajibade, and others. And I'm saying that what we experienced during the military era cannot be compared to what is happening now. During the military era, there was a time when you are leaving your house, you have to have your toothpaste, your cream, everything, your towel in your bag, because you are going to work, you are not sure of returning. There was a time it became very impossible for us to hold our meeting in the newsroom. We were holding our meeting at the stadium, at the beer parlor, because we were not sure who were watching over us during our meeting. So many journalists were killed, so many journalists were arrested and sentenced to 21 years imprisonment for being part of coup plotting, the likes of Kule Ajibade, Babafemi Ojodu, and all that. So many journalists were incarcerated. So many journalists were killed, and so it was like practicing journalism in hell. That was what we experienced during the military era. There was a time about 4 media houses were shut down. News magazine, for example, was proscribed, was banned, and that's how we came up with Tempo magazine. So what we experienced during the military era cannot be compared to what is happening now. Now, I'm not trying to justify what is happening now, but you can be sure that if you're arrested, somebody will go to court and bail you after spending some weeks or months in detention. You can be rest assured that you'll be granted bail, charged to court. But during the military era, you will be arrested. The military boys were the complainant, they were the investigators, and they were the judge. So it is absolutely impossible to compare what happened to the military regime to what is happening, and that's why I said, look, Fisayo should not compare what happened during the military era with what is happening today in Nigeria. You can't compare it at all, because under military regime it was hell. It was hell.
Okay, let's talk about.
But am I allowed to respond?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So both of us are correct, because I only spoke about the figures, the number of journalists who ended up in detention. Oh, of course, both of us are correct. I gave a caveat at the end. I said, I can't, I mentioned something about the treatment may be different.
Yeah.
So if you pick a journalist and you detain him for 1 month, and you pick a journalist and you detain him for 1 day, if you are talking about the number of journalists who have been detained, it's one for both sides. Even if it's for 5 hours. So my figure was clearly about the number of journalists who ended up in detention in military regime, not the duration. We are not that young that we didn't see some of these things happen, and the ones that we didn't experience, we read about them, and without question, the journalists in the military era, yes, exhibited far more courage than you can ever find in our generation. That's clear, that's a fact. But in terms of the number of journalists who ended up in prison, the number, not the duration of detention, not the treatment they got in detention, not the torture they got in detention, the number of journalists who ended up in detention, what happened in Tinubu's first year is just as the annual average of those years that I gave. So my point was purely about the number, not about the duration of confinement or imprisonment, not about the torture. I read Kunle Ajibade's book when he was in jail, how every night he thought he was next to be killed. Not all the people he met in detention came out alive. In my case, when I was detained by the army, the first thing they did was to take me to the hospital and run some basic tests to be sure that I had no underlying ailment, I would make it out alive. So I'm not trying to to erase the courage of journalists of old.
Yeah.
But we can't then have a democracy and similar number of journalists end up in detention. That can't be right.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, Fisayo. I agree with you absolutely. But just also remind you that at that time, the Nigerian Union of Journalists.
I do not want us to dwell on this. We need to move on because we don't have time. Let's not dwell on this, please. I don't want this to be a back and forth. Let's move on. I want to talk about, what the law enforcement agents continue to rely on as a basis for our arrest or docking us or our disappearances. For example, what institutional gaps can we plug, which actually right now allows the security agencies to carry out these arrests, this arbitrary detaining of journalists, or like he said, just abducting them. If no one is there to tell, for example, if I'm abducted on my way home from work, no one would know where I've gone to. They just think that I've been kidnapped. But of course, security agencies have taken us. How do we make sure that journalists are no longer censored, and these security agencies are not taking accountability? Because what we see is that when there's an outcry, they let us go. But there is nothing being done to also hold the security agencies, DSS and the police, most importantly, bringing them to book for carrying out these arrests that are not necessarily by the book.
Well, I'm sure you will recall recently the Nigerian Guild of Editors set up a committee and headed by some lawyers, very senior lawyer, and to help us review some of the obnoxious media law we have in the country, which the security agencies are relying on, to carry out this, to perpetrate this illegality. And at the end of the day, the committee discovered that there were some laws, anti-media laws, that were enacted during the colonial era, during the military era. We still have them in our statutory book. And because they were not repealed by the National Assembly, so many security agencies are relying on that, not just to prosecute journalists, but to persecute journalists. And so we now compile this law, and recently we made a submission to the Minister of Information, and we also...
Oh dear. Dr. Ujarin, your connection has disappeared and we can barely hear you. Can you hear me? I think that we've lost that connection with the good doctor. I'm hoping that we can get him back. But I'm gonna jump to Fisayo here if I can, because Dr. Ujarin's connection is very bad and we cannot hear him. So we're gonna mute him and then go to Fisayo. Dr. Ujarin, can you hear me? Yeah. I'm so sorry, Doctor. We cannot hear you. So I'm gonna bring you. Fisayo, let's move.
Them to suit the current democratic process.
Okay, doctor. I'm so sorry, but
I'm hearing.
Yes, we lost you for a long time, and we could barely hear you because your connection disappeared. Okay, while we try to get you back, let's go back to Fisayo. Fisayo, let's talk about your investigative work, because right now I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if I want to train people to be investigative journalists. Every time I give a talk or I'm training people, I remember when my professor told me about investigative journalism that if you can't write the story, if you can't do it, give it to someone who can. And you expressed some fears that people have about investigative work, that people no longer want to do it. If they must do it, they have to do it from outside of the country. And we've seen several Nigerian journalists who are really great at what they do run out of the country or are in hiding virtually to be able to do the work. And I hear people on the radio say, go and do your investigative journalism, and I laugh because it's not a walk in the park. To what extent does the government misuse Section 24 and digital surveillance restricted investigative reporting, especially around corruption and security issues? Because I know that we have a long list of these corrupt people, and the EFCC tells us that sometimes it might take them 30 years. Sometimes they need us to tell them who's corrupt and who's not corrupt. How does this deter or spur you to continue in your line of work? What makes you wake up every day and do this?
First of all, no Nigerian agency really needs journalists to tell them about corrupt people so that they can go after them. I know how many corrupt people I, as an individual, have told the government. I went on national TV and I said, I've written a lot about smuggling and smugglers and the people inside the Nigeria Customs Service, and in government aided them, and people have said it's fake. And I said, give me 10 armed men, let the government give me 10 armed men, and then empower them to arrest anybody. They will come back to the government with the smugglers, So I even did social media for so long. I tagged the Good Morning Nigerian Customs. Nobody needs anybody. People who were trying to expose some smugglers who got killed, who are tipped off the authorities, and we said, find them. So let's just make it clear that what is lacking is the political will. It's not that they need anyone to point out the kind of people that government should go. Look, when government wants to work, government does actually work. A lot of people don't know. When government wants to work, there are people who are connected to government, who've had problems, got to the police tracked the criminals they were looking for, and they found them. So when government interest is involved, they do know how to swing to action. In terms of what keeps me going while I do it, it's clear if you do the kind of job that I do, your motivation has to be internal. You know that the public interest has to be served. You know that the people have a right to know, and that right to know has to be preserved by somebody, by some people. You know that even if people say Nigeria is a lost cause and it's irredeemable, you know that slowing down the wheels of injustice is a form of progress. People tend to identify progress only in terms of forward movement. But when you slow down the rot, when you make it more difficult for people to steal, or you make it more difficult for them to steal and get away with it, then you are working for the public interests. And that's enough to keep anyone going. Although I can say it in public for the first time that in my second life, this is not the job I would do. Definitely not. If I had a second life.
It's the best job in the world. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
For the current life, yes. For the current look, it's the best job in the world. But again, you talked about people coming and telling you go and do your investigation. People don't know the cost of investigative journalism. People don't know the personal cost. The cost for one's personal life. Back then, maybe in Dr. Yobosa's era, it was only the state actors they dealt with. We deal with both state and non-state actors. Someone sent a threat to our office line 2 years back and said, "I will find you and sever your head, then you mind your business." So. Oh yes, that's just one of many. Smugglers have inboxed me. Some smugglers have gone on my Facebook wall to say, the people, look, very soon we will stop hearing from you. It's in public domain. So if you are dealing with government, yeah, it doesn't make it easier, but it's just one-sided. But when you have to deal with both state and non-state actors, and then when your work has shown the connection between non-state criminals and state actors, then it's more dangerous. I've said it, in public before. There is no smuggling that is going on that people in government are not benefiting from and cannot find. In some of the most dastardly crimes committed by private citizens, if you dig deep, you will find that they have support in a number of cases of highly placed policemen. It will shock you.
Wow.
So if you do that kind of work, it's quite complicated.
Dr. Yobosa,
you want to do it in your second life.
Now you're scaring me, and I know that this is what it is. I have friends who do the same job abroad. It's also as dangerous as it is here anywhere else in the world, obviously, especially if you're digging for stuff that you shouldn't go digging for, especially corrupt politicians and of course smugglers and drug dealers. Dr. Yobosa, let me come back to you in 2 minutes because our time is almost fast spent. How do we keep our journalists protected, whether it's on air, print, investigative? What is the way forward for journalism in Nigeria? Because the average politician talks down on the Nigerian journalists, calls them, washed, what's the word that they use? Brown envelope journalists, partisan, they say all kinds of things to, demean us or make whatever we're saying not seem as if we know what we're doing. And a few of us get some accolades every now and again, but you are the bad guy every time you speak truth to power. What do we need to do as a united front going forward to discourage these attacks coming on journalists in Nigeria?
Yeah, so you can hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We can.
Okay. Well,
Yes, we can.
like I was saying, first we need to, get the National Assembly to abolish those anti-media laws that we currently have in our statutory book. Some of them were enacted during the colonial era. Some of them were enacted through decree during the military era, and some of the laws that we also have now, like Cybercrime Act. I remember that likes of Femi Falana went to ECOWAS court, and the ECOWAS court, notified some section of that Cybercrime Act known and avoid. But I'm sure you know that in spite of that, the Nigerian State Police and other security agencies are still using that law, to prosecute some journalists and citizens in the competent court of law. So first, we need to let the government know, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu know that we are under democracy, and that those laws that inhibit the journalism work, should be abolished or should be amended to in line with the global best practices. I'm also, like Fisayo said, the freedom that we enjoy today, I'm talking of the press freedom we enjoy today, we're not given to us on the platter of gold. We fought for it, right from the days for the struggle for independence. And I'm sure Nigeria journalism.
Oh dear. I'm so sorry, doctor. There you go again. Your internet has disconnected. But I have just about 3 minutes for Nigerians to contribute. So if you want to be part of the conversation, 30 seconds each. Please go straight to the point. I wish we had more time to get reactions because Fisayo and Doctor, you have so many questions. People are saying, how do you tell a blogger from a journalist? How can you tell fake news from? But we don't have time for all of that. But let me just take a few calls here and there. Hello, welcome to Hard Fact.
Good evening, Maryann.
Good evening. 30 seconds. Go straight to the point.
Okay, my question to both of them is this. As a journalist, how do you balance your reports when you work under under a news outlet owned by a politician. Now you want to balance your reports somehow. How do you do that?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Pastor Ladipo. We got that. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Good evening, Maryann. My name is Robert.
Robert, 30 seconds.
Okay. I want to ask, why is it that most journalists in Nigeria nowadays are afraid to report the ease of the government? Most of them are afraid. We find them, instead of like Daily they reported the ease of ability. But now journalists are in a condition. They fail to report what is happening.
All right. Thank you very much, Robert. I'll take one last call and then I'll let Fisayo respond. Hello.
Hello, Maryann. Good evening.
30 seconds. Go ahead.
My name is Peter Monse from Somolo. My question is, why is it that these days, if you say something on one particular station and it's a topic of discussion, when you get to another station, they don't allow you to mention that thing? Like when we talk about fake certificate, drug issues, they discuss another, you get to another station, they say, no, it's not radio friendly. It's not air friendly. Why is it that in democracy?
All right, Fisayo, I have just 60 seconds before we wrap up the show. Go ahead if you can attempt to respond to the questions.
One that I heard was, how do you tell the difference between a blogger and a journalist?
Yeah, and also someone asked, how can you balance your stories if you work for a media house that's owned by a politician? 60 seconds.
You have to hear the other side. When you say balance, you write what you know, you contact the other party to respond. If your editors want to publish, they publish. If they don't want to publish, they trash it. If you are bent on getting it published, send it to other newspapers, let them remove your name, your story gets published on itself.
Lovely. That's the first thing I learned in media school. If you can't run the story, let someone else run it for you. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. Fisayo Soyombo is the founder, FIJ, Foundation for Investigative Journalism. We had also been speaking with Dr. Iyobosa Iwujaren. He is a member of the Guild of Editors. These gentlemen obviously are doing the best they can in making sure that, of course, our stories are being told, especially the right way. Thank you, Fisayo, for coming on the show. I always appreciate you, and keep up the good work. Please let nobody take your head. I need your head on your shoulder. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. All right. Well, Lagos, I want to thank you all for being part of the conversation. Tomorrow, we will be back here. Of course, we'll be talking about several other issues and going to Sierra Leone to talk about smuggling on Global Review. My name is Maryann. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, MIMIEYO. Just look for Maryann Duke-Okon everywhere else. I love you, Lagos. Bye-bye.
More talk, news, and sports after this.
It's amazing how your child grows up before your eyes. Enable their thriving development and the care they need with the new NanKid 4 with HMOs to
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria